Brigade Podcast with Kevin, Efren, and Chip, your typical disgruntled Army veterans who've come together for their passion of all things bourbon and whiskey. Stay tuned for honest reviews, whiskey banter, and information from the whiskey world.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Bourbon Brigade Podcast. I'm Chip, and with me, as always, is Kevin and Efren.
Yo.
Howdy. Efren's rocking a Buffalo Trace sweatshirt. You're Tater.
Yeah. And it's a store pick.
Literally a store pick. Oh my gosh.
Or pick sweatshirt.
Efren, that was an amazing dad joke.
So what are we doing tonight?
Little Henry McKenna 10-year.
Oh, yeah. A good one.
Like we talked about earlier, I haven't had this in a very long time. It's just been sitting on my shelf for months. I think it was the last time I had it.
So we're talking the Henry McKenna 10-year, bottled in bond. And it is, boom, right there.
Boom.
100 proof. Right?
Yep.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. Bottom bond. Gotta be 100 proof. Kevin, I threw on a sticker real quick so I could match you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Henry McKenna 10-year. Mine was barreled on 6/21/2011.
November 5th, 2009.
And mine was November 16th, 2009.
Kind of curious if we're gonna pull some like different notes off this because it's like 2 years.
Yeah, that's a difference.
I think this is a really solid bottle. Honestly, when I first got it, I was like really excited. I was like, it's because I found it when I first started really getting into bourbon. I was like, hell yeah, everyone talks about this, and I was very excited to get it, and I know why it's sought after.
I went out and I grabbed a few bottles because my store told me the price was going up, probably about $15 a bottle.
Yeah.
So I grabbed 3 at the lower price just to have some on hand. And now I think it's like, and that store is pretty reasonable. And I think they want like $62 a bottle for it.
Wow.
Yeah, that definitely went up $15 because I think I haven't bought it. I've seen Bill's had it recently, but I don't know. I'm gonna have to ask that question now because I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if the price went up in you guys' areas.
Yeah.
I haven't bought one in a while, but around me it was $49.
Yeah.
Yep.
When I bought mine, $35, maybe $45.
Yeah, it's about the same as me.
Yeah.
Mm.
I will say there are some 10 years out there that just aren't that great. Like the Bulleit bourbon 10-year.
Yeah.
It's not that great. It's okay.
Really not.
Same price point, around $40, $50. You can find it.
And
this one,
side
pretty
note,
solid. Yeah.
since we're on a Bulleit tangent, why do the corks never fit in the bottle? Why are they always loose?
I don't know. I have to put like extra cork because I save all my corks. I have to find a cork to fit because those just dry out. Then next thing you know,
Even I feel like even like day one they don't fit in. They're too loose for the bottle. I don't know.
On the Bulleit?
yes,
Bulleit.
Bulleit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't own a Bulleit, so
That's a good question. Damn. I literally have that problem. I have to put like other corks in the Bulleit.
Can't be the only one.
No,
Like
we can't.
I had a like a barrel strength store pick one time at the PX, and I put it in a cart. And it was tilted on its side and leaked all over the place.
Maybe we should call them and tell them that their corks suck.
You think they don't know? Like they gotta know, right? Like at this point, it's got to be just a choice. I mean, somebody's complained, right?
I really don't really care for Bulleit, honestly.
Not a huge fan.
No, I'm not either.
No, yeah, it's a mixer for me.
I've tried it, but I just never bought a bottle. It was, I don't know, for the price point, I think I can pick up a lot better bottles.
Yeah, I agree. I've been kind of curious. I've seen their the blender select to barrel proof blender select.
I actually have one of those.
Really?
hmm
You send out samples. We should do a bullet.
I actually think you're going to be slightly surprised at it.
Really?
Yeah,
I'm excited.
I'm not going to go out on a limb and say you're going to like it, but you're going to be a little bit surprised anyway.
I know Bill's did a pick, but it's crazy how all the store picks for Bullet are always 140. I feel like if they were just a little bit higher, so
Really?
much better. Yeah.
Hmm.
But he had one really good pick that I had. It's all coming back to me now. Supposedly, it's supposed to be sourced from roses.
From
So,
Four Roses?
yeah, 4 roses.
Okay. Huh. I didn't know that.
That may be coming straight out of my ass. I don't know.
Yeah, well,
But
it's Bulleit, so maybe it is.
yeah, I really hope if you send samples, you send that one. But now I'm really curious.
I was gonna say if I'm gonna pull a bottle and drink a Bulleit for some reason, it's gonna be that one.
Okay.
I mean, without trying to give too much away.
Well, the Class 6, they have it's a military store pick, I guess. I don't know.
Kind of curious now, but whatever. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Maybe we should do Bullet one day.
Hmm.
Show them some
Maybe.
love. They were on Yellowstone. They should be. That's probably where they get most of their revenue from. People see it on Yellowstone.
Back to the Henry,
Yeah. Oops. Sidetrack.
right? It's a good sidetrack though.
Yeah.
Actually almost turned into a Bullet episode.
It did. All because of damn corks.
I know. Cork. Why? So what do we got? It's bottled in bond. Anyone know this story? Who's Henry McKenna?
I don't know.
You can make up a complete lie. I wouldn't know. Just make up.
Well, it says there, he was from Ireland.
Makes sense.
1837, he moved from Ireland and had a recipe for bourbon and moved to Kentucky.
Yeah.
I got the little pamphlet there.
Oh shit.
Tells you a little bit of story about him.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
1837.
All this knowledge.
I did my research.
And settled in Kentucky, where he set out to create a better bourbon. They drink bourbon over there in Ireland.
Huh. No.
Maybe he had a sample and really liked it.
Maybe. Well, was that what they could get for barrels? Was the char? Throw an Irish
Yeah.
whiskey to a
Good
char.
question. Was that the standard back then that it is today?
I don't know.
Where they age it in bourbon barrels?
Wow. Welcome to the Bourbon Podcast, where we don't know anything.
Bourbon Brigade
Bourbon
podcast.
Brigade. We're just some dudes drinking bourbon.
Drinking bourbon.
I don't know.
Masters of something, not everything.
Not everything. A little bit of everything.
Yeah, I agree with
But it
that.
says on here, he insisted to have his bourbon aged in the barrels, which was highly unlikely back in those days. It doesn't say he was the inventor of
Yeah.
it, but he was one of the people that insisted that his bourbon be aged in the barrels.
Well, he apparently found some bourbon somewhere in Ireland and really enjoyed it, and he was so passionate that he moved across an ocean.
Well, I think there was a pretty big export at the time.
There
right?
might have been. There might have been, yeah.
Some history.
I know.
Know very little about.
I want to point out one thing on the nose that it just keeps coming back to me. You guys probably got it too. It's a hard note to explain, but sweet oak. A lot of sweet oak. It's so
I
good.
think it's sweet. Definitely like sweet, almost like a simple syrup,
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah.
Honey?
Yeah. Little bit of like some honey. And I actually get some char in this. I get more barrel, which you should expect in a 10-year. I get a lot of barrel. And it's really good barrel.
Yep. That's definitely more oaky than some of the other 10 years that are out. I mean,
I want to say it's a char 4 just off the nose. There's no way that could be a 3. I have to find out. It's so good. I love level 4 char. It's my favorite.
yeah, it's pretty good.
So Efren, what nose sticks out the most to you?
To me, it's the honey.
I'm getting that now too. I'm getting like a honey
Mhm.
crisp apple. Like it's small, like
Now that you put that thought in there, it's like, yeah, honey.
it's there.
You ever have that happen? Like somebody's like, I get shoe leather,
Yeah.
and you're like, is that what that tastes like?
Yeah, I get the apple too now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you get it. It's like almost like a sour apple, but like
Yeah, it's one of those the ones you bake pies with. Granny Smith.
Granny
Yeah.
Smith. Granny Smith are the
Yep.
green ones, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
green ones. Yep.
I hate apple pie. So I shouldn't say I as a kid, my mom would bake like 20 pies, and she'd pre-make them and then put them in the freezer downstairs, the extra freezer. But we would have to peel, us as the kids, we would have to peel all those apples. So finally, I got tired of peeling apples, and I said, I'm not peeling anymore. And she told me, well, you don't have to eat apple pie then. And I was like, good. I don't like apple pie.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
I'm
so
tired
since
of
then, I
this,
didn't like
Grandpa.
apple pie.
That's too damn bad.
It lingers.
I almost want to say the nose is better than the palate.
Yeah, the nose is pretty good, actually.
Nose, wow. Palate's good. I'm not saying it's bad, but
Mhm.
the nose, that's one of the better noses I've had.
And ours is different.
It just-
Ours is be different, right? Like,
Yeah.
Because they're all
What?
single
Yep.
barrels.
Yeah.
Mine dissipates really fast.
Does it? I get a
It's
little.
like
Yeah, it does.
intense,
That's
intense
exactly
in the
what
front,
it is.
and then it just kind of.
So
Yep.
I am left with just oak.
Yes. Yep. Those
Yeah,
tannins right there.
everything else falls off, and it's just the oak tannins, like you said.
Yep.
Mhm.
If only a barrel proof, but I mean, you would just get Elijah Craig barrel.
Yeah,
How long's your finger been on that button?
a couple minutes anyway. Been waiting for the right spot. Speaking of the right spot, if you're still sticking around watching this, go ahead and follow all these things down here. Do the stuff. Click the buttons.
Yep.
And,
Do the
follow.
stuff.
Yeah, so this will be recorded, released Saturday, I think.
Yeah.
So if you're seeing this, it's Saturday. If everything went to plan.
I
Let's
hope
hope so.
everybody had a good Thanksgiving then.
I was gonna pour. I know you guys were talking earlier about after we did whatever bottle we were gonna talk about.
Mhm.
A little wild turkey for Thanksgiving. I didn't have any wild turkey, but I have the pigskin batch Booker's. Everyone
Yep.
watches football on Turkey Day, so
I've got a little story about wild turkey I can share here soon. And stick
let's hear
around.
it.
It's gonna be a good one. We'll get into that.
Yeah. So I think the proof just kind of stops us in its tracks, and then you're just left with that barrel. Sure, but it's still really good. $40 bottle, $50
Yeah.
maybe.
So do you think this is a case where like maybe the bottled and bond 100 proof like hard point is maybe holding it back a little?
I think so.
I'd
I think
love-
ripping off that
Yeah.
bottle and bond tag would take this thing.
I would love to taste a barrel strength McKenna. Like
I would too.
that'd be pretty
Yeah,
good.
I think it does too. I think that's why you get all that flavor up front, and then it just kind of.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, keep going, keep going. Oh no, it's gone. But I think if it was a little higher in proof,
Not everyone enjoys like barrel proof, so I can see where there's a market for this for sure. And this would be.
Absolutely.
I really do. I like the label, so like I'm kind of drawn to aesthetics. So things that
Mhm.
look cool, I think are sweet. I like how this is like. It looks like money honestly. Look at
Yeah,
it.
it really does. Yeah, the neck tag and everything. It's got that like filigree, like $100 bill would have, an old $100 bill.
Yeah, good bottle.
It is.
Yeah.
A
What
good
would you
bottle.
guys what would you guys rate this as? Remember our rating scheme is far exceeded the standard, met standard, did not meet the standard.
So if I'm looking at a 10-year, like apples to apples, 10-year, I can't really do a bottled in bond and get a good cross section, but 10-year, I would say this exceeds the standard.
Yeah.
Now you got to remember that this is kind of hard for people to find too, so we got to throw that availability in there.
Yeah, that's true.
I would say exceeds the standard at the price point now.
Yeah.
If they bring it up to that extra $15, then it just meets the standard.
It's
But I
a
think
tough sell.
for $49, I think it's a fantastic bottle. It's an easy sipper and something you want to share with someone else. It's
Yeah.
at that price point where it's not like you spent over $100 and you're like, do I really like this guy to give him some of this?
Yeah.
So
No, good point. Good point. I'm going to second that and say exceeded the standard at the current price, but like you said, $15 more. It's just going to meet the standard. So there's probably another 10-year out there.
That's
A little
true.
bit higher proof you could find.
Yeah.
so now a little turkey.
Yeah.
Or you're having Booker's.
I'm going to have some, Booker's pigskin batch. It was my first Booker's ever. And man, it's so good.
My story is why I will always keep a bottle of Wild Turkey 101 in my bar. It's a good story. It's a Thanksgiving story. You want to hear a story about a few snipers running around Baghdad and the connection with Wild Turkey and Thanksgiving. Pay attention, because here it goes.
I definitely want to hear this.
It was, obviously we're in Iraq, Baghdad, 2005. I remember it was the day before Thanksgiving. My commander finds me and he's like, "Hey, Sergeant, we got an op order, 2 hours. You guys got a mission, blah, blah." So I go back, tell my guys like, "Hey, op order this evening after chow. I'm going to brief it to you guys, blah, blah, blah. Don't know what it is yet, but we got a mission." Commander was kind of vague. I mean, at this point, it's November. We got there in January. So we've been there a while. We're in the groove at this point. You know what I mean? Like things are rolling. So like our stuff's pretty much ready all the time. I mean, it's like, we're doing something outside the wire at least like once every day, every other day at this point. There was a lot going on in 05,
2005. Yep.
I get the op order from my commander and, he's like, he basically like lays it out what he wants, where we're supposed to be overwatching. And, I'm like, hey, that's great. I need to recon this area and I need to make sure it's viable. Done it, checked it out, done a map recon. Everything looks cool from the map, but I need to get on the ground. He says, "Okay, later on tonight, you and my number 2 guy, we'll call him Scary Terry. You guys can come. You be the Bradley commanders, 2 Bradleys, and we'll run up and down the road a couple times, like normal, like a normal presence patrol would be every night.
Yep.
And we'll go by the place where we're supposed to set up our hide site." So I'm like, "Yeah, that works." So I'm like, I don't know. I've never, I'm like, I'm in a Bradley and I'm like moving the turret around. I was like, "Yeah, this is cool." Like, zzz, zzz.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty awesome. But yeah, we rode, good crew. These guys were great. They brought us up and down, like made sure we got what we needed. And I was able to formulate a good plan. I went back and I like hashed some stuff out with him, like where our infill was going to be, like where we're going to get dropped off, where we're going to do this, that, like a couple of reference points. One of the things we had to do was like, now, okay, we're going to this house. This is a house. People live in it, So now we have to not only get dropped off somewhere in the middle of Baghdad in the middle of the night or very, very early morning. And we have to basically sneak through the alleyways and streets, get to this house. Now we have to sneak into the house because we don't want to alert anyone that we're coming in. We have to sneak in. We have to basically sequester this family, brief them what's going on. Like they're not going to be able to leave for 48 to 72 hours. I had an interpreter with me. My interpreter he was amazing. One of the best ones there was by far. We'll call him Tall Anthony. So Tall Anthony, like we get there and his job is to basically just converse with them, see what, just kind of comfort them to make sure they're not going to like freak out while they're, cause a big problem. He's kind of an intimidating dude. So they're, it helps. So we get dropped off. It's like 2:45 in the morning. And we're about 3 blocks away from the house. As we don't want to like raise any suspicions or whatever, like around where we're going to be for a few days. So we sneak into like down the street up to the house. We get in. And it couldn't have been any better. There was like, the door had little windows beside it. So one of my buddies was able to like or whatever he had in his pocket. And he just like tapped the window till the glass broke out. And it was like pretty quiet. And he reached in and grabbed the doorknob and just unlocked the door and opened it. So we walked in and, we like woke these people up out of their bed. And there was like a bunch of kidded up dudes standing over them like, hey, how you doing? We get them up. The interpreter goes like, we get them all into the kitchen. He unzip ties them and everything. And like, turns out like he's a Iraqi, like a police officer. So he's like, you get what you get. Yeah. He seemed to be like kind of one of the ones that we'll say like switched on sort of, so he was kind of like all about it. He was you could tell he was like buying into the mission and stuff like that. But the woman in the house is like, we have a problem. I have no food in the house and there's like 6 people. She's like, I have no food. I was going to go to the grocery store tomorrow. I literally have no food. And like Tony's like opening things and looking around. He's like, she has no food. I'm like, oh great. Like why not just add a little bit to this. So I grabbed Tony. I'm like, hey, I have always carry like $200 or $300 of like, oh shit money that the battalion gave me just in case some stuff goes down and I need to do something. I have like some cash on me. And he always carried civilian clothes in case, like just a contingency plan. If I give you $100 of this, can you buy enough groceries for, 3 days or whatever? He's like, I can buy enough groceries for like a month with $100. I'm like, all right, well, here's 100. You'll buy what you can, whatever, and get it back here for him. He's like, all right. And just before he leaves, and I'm like, hey, Tony. He's like, yeah. I'm like, if you happen to see a bottle of whiskey, grab it. And he starts laughing. He's like, oh, I have to go to the green zone. And he leaves. And I was kind of like just sort of half joking. You know what I mean? And hour goes by, 2 hours go by. And I'm like, okay, starting to get a little worried here. Like, well, tall Anthony's like, he's running around Baghdad somewhere. I don't know. Hopefully like he didn't, get hemmed up somewhere or something like that. Now, about the 3rd hour, I'm starting to think like, man, I am really, really going to have to like explain what the heck happened to my interpreter at this point. Like, he's on, like, I have no idea what happened to him. And be like, where's your terp? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. It was probably like 3.5 hours. I was pretty much pacing around and like he shows back up and he's got a ton.
Nice.
It was in a cab. He got all kinds of bags of groceries. He brings them in, put it all in the kitchen and they're going over it and everything like that. And then he comes upstairs and he's like, hey, you guys okay? Blah, blah, blah. Sorry, I was gone so long. I get held up and this and that. And he's like, how it goes, checkpoints. And I'm like, yeah, no problem, and he's like, oh, and here. And he pulls out a pint bottle of good old Wild Turkey 101.
Oh, man.
Like, are you kidding me? Like, and it's Thanksgiving Day right now, right? And he pulls out Wild Turkey 101. Like, he has no idea.
Dude.
He has no idea. I'm like, what are the odds that that's the bottle you pull out? Right. So I'm like, oh, thanks. I took it. And I kind of like, I sort of had like an ethical dilemma. Like, hold on, we're on mission. Do I let my guys have some? So I was like, yeah, you can have a sip, when we eat dinner.
Yeah.
You have a sip or whatever, not if you're obviously like on the gun, but so we're sitting there and we can smell food there. She's cooking downstairs and like she's cooking all this stuff, like it's all kinds of stuff. And we're like, man, this smells so good. And all of a sudden Tony's like, hey, she wants to give you guys some food. So we quickly discussed it for a couple minutes and we're like, yeah, have her bring it up. So she brings up these like trays of food and they're just feeding us. And food was amazing. So pulled the pint bottle out and this is the first time everyone's seen it. And they're like, are you kidding me? And like, I'm like, sip, whatever, have some food, take a sip and we'll, I'll put it in my pack. Anyway, Thanksgiving, middle of Baghdad, we've got this
Yeah.
spread of food put on, some wild turkey to wash it down. It was great. The mission was a great success. Everything went fine. We got back, and man, my guys were so motivated. They were so like hyped.
Yep.
You know, this is badass. You could tell it was just like re-energized everybody. To this day, this bottle will always be at my bar,
Dude.
and I always have a drink around Thanksgiving. So that's my story.
You
Cheers.
could not, yeah, you could not make that story up. That's an awesome story. You know, we all
Yeah.
know how it can be over there, and you got to take the good things with the bad things. That's
Yeah.
It makes me want to go get a bottle of 101 right now.
And it's good for its price point. Like, come on.
Yeah.
And Wild Turkey 101's pretty darn good. Or
It
what
is.
is it, like $18?
Yeah.
$18?
Is it really 18?
I think
Yeah,
it's that
it's-
cheap.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's below $20.
Oh, you got the rare breed out.
Yeah,
you
I got the rare
dog.
breed out.
Oh, I love that. So good.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I got
yeah,
the
I've
rye too, but I couldn't find it.
Yeah, I have the rye. Yeah, I've become quite a Wild Turkey fan since then. You know?
Mm-hmm.
I have not had the rye yet. I need a sample of that because I heard it's like closer to the 51%
Mhm.
rye mash bill. I cannot
Yeah.
stand that mash bill, honestly. It's my least
It's
favorite.
very-
Oh, it's good.
Pretty good for
I need
what
to-
it is.
I need a sample.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any wild turkey other than an open master's keep that I'm waiting. I don't know what I'm waiting for.
Which one
But
is
which-
it?
One
The one?
toast,
One?
yeah,
Yeah.
toasted.
Yeah, that's the one I got.
That's the one.
Right?
You got
No, wait, right there.
It's hard, isn't it?
Right
Hard to-
there.
Where am I? Where am I? In
Things.
Right there.
To be in the spirit of Thanksgiving. Closest thing I got is Booker's pigskin batch
It's a good one.
2020-03. Yes, this was my first Booker's, and it's really, really good.
I enjoyed that one.
I like aesthetics. This thing comes with like a card, information, awesome
Oh, it's-
case.
It's got all the things.
I hear people pay $100 for it. No, on base, I get it for $67,
That's a great price.
How
and I
much?
will
think
buy it every time. $67.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
Next time I see it, I'll send a picture to you guys.
Yeah.
On it.
I pay 100.
You're 100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah.
pushing 100. I think it's at least in the 90s here, like 93 to 95.
I've watched a couple reviews, and apparently the most recent one is killer. Like it
It-
hasn't been this good since the last probably 2 years since pigskin.
No
Which
kidding.
one is that one? 2203?
Yeah, 2022-03, the newest one that was released.
I'm pretty sure I saw that today in my local store, but at that price point, a lot of times I'll pass it
Yeah.
up. Until I hear some reviews on it or something like that. And then if I hear it's like a really good batch, I'll
Yes,
look at it,
the new one is supposed to be fire. So
Really
yes,
interesting.
It's kind of like when they put out the little book. This last
Little
one they
Book.
put out.
Yeah.
That was.
I-
But the
This
last one
new
they
Little
put out,
Book.
it was like 4-year bourbon with,
yeah,
and they wanted like
Brown rice
146
bourbon.
for it.
yeah, brown rice bourbon. I know they've done a lot of experimental stuff, which people don't think Jim Beam does experimental stuff, but they really do. I heard it was really good though. Like I heard some reviews that said this little book was super complex. So
No, I'm
it
gonna
may
have to
be.
look for it. Really?
Yeah,
I might have the one before that one.
Yeah.
I might have the one before the current release.
yeah,
But-
I do too. I have 2021 release.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I have. Well, I guess this is as good a point as any to kind of wrap it up here. I'd like to say cheers, everybody. Thanks for watching the Bourbon Brigade. And like I said, like, follow, comment, subscribe, do all the stuff, click all the buttons. Follow us. We've got more content coming out. We're going to try to be coming out every Saturday or so. And until then, we'll see you. Whiskey 101 out.